Hello, hello, hello! So today I am going to show you guys how it is that I put together some snap tabs. I like to do them with marine vinyl, and I have a marine vinyl on the front and I use it on the back as well. This is a thicker vinyl, although not marine vinyl. And this I was just testing out with a non-fraying fabric. It's kind of like an ultra suede. Still put vinyl on the back. And I like to use a double cap rivet for mine. I don't like the cam snaps. I find them they come apart, and I just like the way that these hold better. And for the eyelets, I use a double-sided eyelet, so it's got the front part and it has a washer piece on the back. So this one is what we are going to do today, and let's get started. Alright, so the stuff we will need to get started today, so that I can show you how I make a snap tab, is you just need 2 pieces of vinyl, and I like using a marine vinyl. So I have a white marine vinyl for the front, and I prefer to use just a basic one for the back, so I use a black for the back because I have more of that. And for the snap tab, you need something for the top of it, so I like to use rivets. These are 9mm double cap rivets. There we go. And some sort of a clasp for that. And then if you're going to make the version with the eyelet, you need some sort of an eyelet to use. Alright, so the first thing that I am going to do is I am actually going to take my fabric, my vinyl, and I am going to put an SF101 on the back. You can iron on vinyl very quickly and very gently. You don't want to do it long, and anything that has a print on it, well, the print can flatten out depending on what it is. So always test it first. However, I like that it helps with the stretch in the vinyl. So I am going to give that a quick little so you can see it is stuck on there, and the front is still all good. I have a little bit of the marine texture in there. And the next thing that I'm going to do to start this is I am going to go and run the placement stitch. Alright, I just wanted to show you guys what I do for a placement stitch. I know not all machines can do this, however my machine can, and I like that fact that I can use less thread. So what I do is I actually run my placement stitches without thread in the machine, and you can see clearly that I can see where the placement will be, no problem. And then I am using less thread. And when you're tearing it out with the tearaway stabilizer, I always find out that helps too, because it's not catching on the thread underneath. And I just want to also mention that the stabilizer I am using is actually a cutaway. I prefer cutaway, especially for designs like this that are dense, because this is considered a dense design. And there is a lot of push and pull in vinyl. So you can see there's a lot of stretch to the vinyls. So there's a lot of, when you're stitching, there's a lot of pulling it this way and pushing it this way. So if you're using a tearaway, I suggest at least doubling up on the tearaway or using the cutaway, and sometimes I use an ollie fun fabric. Alright, so the next thing we have to do for the snap tab is we just have to add the vinyl to it. So I am going to use a 505 spray adhesive. This is what I like to use. And then on top of that, I am going to tape it down. I like that holds it better that way, so that when you are doing the stitching, the pull and push doesn't happen as much. There, so I have it securely put down, and we're going to take it back to the machine and do the next step, which will be for this design, the lettering. Alright, so I do have it on the machine now, and I just wanted to show you people with a single needle machine what it is I do to help prevent the knotting on the underside. So what you do is you put your foot down, you put your needle down, and you just use the knob on the side, and you turn it back up, and then you pull up the thread from the bottom. So you can see here, I have the thread coming up from the bottom now, and so you just pull that through, and then you want to hold on to both of those, and then you want to start it. Alright, so I now have the main design done. There's the front, there's the back, and everything is done except for the what's called a bean stitch outline around it so that you can cover up the back. So what I like to do is I like to take a piece of black marine vinyl, but people use other things like chalkboard fabric, you can use felt, you can use vinyl, you can use whatever you want really. I just happen to like how the marine vinyl holds up when they're being used. Right, so I'm going to tape that into place on the bottom. There we go. And then I am going to take it back to the machine and I am going to do the bean stitch around everything. So the bean stitch is done, and the next thing I'm going to do is the last, I add hole stitches, and I run that one without the thread in it as well. Alright, so I have the snap tab complete. We have the back, and we have the front, and then we take it out. And because I have used cutaway, obviously I cannot tear off the stabilizer, so I'm just going to cut everything, and I am okay with that. So this is what I do before I start cutting. I cut it down to a size for me that is manageable, and I have two types of scissors that I use. I use these Kai scissors, 7205 or something. I use those for straight cutting, and I have these Ginger scissors that I like for the curved cutting. But everybody has their own favorites. So I just wanted to show you that I've cut it down to the size. As well, when I did that hole stitch, I did it without anything in any thread in there, and I think you can see that little bit that's going on there Maybe a bit better on the back. Yeah. So there you can see, I can tell easily enough where the hole is, and then I don't get any knots, but yet I still get a placement for that. Yeah. All right, so I am going to cut it out now, and I like to start at the top. Cutting these things out really just takes patience and practice and time. All right, so there we have it. As you could see from that, I go back, I go forth. I just cut up the little edges that I see that are sticking out that I don't like. So it just takes a little bit of time. And now we have that. And the next thing that I need to do is just add the eyelet to this one. And I do have another one that I can add the rivet to. So I've got these two that I have to get done. So that one I'm going to use that. And then the other one, I am going to use an eyelet. And the eyelet is a double-sided eyelet, so it has a washer. Oh, let's see here. So here we have it. This washer is the back, and then this is the eyelet portion. So this goes through, and then this will go on to the back of it. So what I like to use to do this is I like to use one of these kind of leather working ones. It's pretty much just any basic one that you can get. Just make sure it's nice and sharp. So you just find your center, click, there's one, all right, and for that one, it's going to be the rivet. So I put this part of the rivet, this is the long part with the post. So this is the post, this is the cap. So it goes in like that. And then I slide on the other piece, flip this back over, put it on top of that. And what you need is a post that sticks out this length. Now this is probably a little too long, so maybe an 8 would be okay for this. This is a 10 post length. And then what you do is you take the other piece of the rivet and you'll hear it click on. See, did you hear that? So it clicked on. And you can always use a hammer with this and a rivet press, but I actually have one of these presses. So this is what I'm going to use to put it on. Just put it this way, right-handed. So I have it into the side there. So the bottom and the top and they are there, and then you just go ahead and for this one you press it into place. And if you're going to invest in a press, get a good one. The one that I have is not a good one. The bottom piece broke on it, so it's difficult to use. And I like to use these because they don't come apart easy. They just seem to last longer for me. And I do like the way that the rivets look. Right, for the next one, you need to poke another hole in that one. And usually eyelets come with a kit that you can use. So this is one piece. So eyelets usually come with a punch, and this is the punch to that. I don't know if it's going to work on this surface. No, it didn't, because I'm on a soft table. So I am just going to be right back and punch that hole. All right, I went back and I punched that hole because I could not punch it on this surface. I do have a cutting table. So what you need to do for the eyelet version is you need to take the wider piece, you put it through the hole, and I use a 3/16 to a something like that, 5/16 or 3/16. Anyway, so then you put that on here. So you put the one piece on here, then you put the washer piece on the back. So just make sure that piece is sticking through. Then you put the washer piece on the back, and this is going to give it a nicer edge. It does not take much to put that on. Not as much effort as to cut a hole. So you can see that let's see if I can just get it to focus here. Focus. There we go. So you can see the back folds over the washer, and that's what it's supposed to do. And if you have the washer there, it looks a lot nicer. So here's the front. All right. So that is how I make my snap tabs. Here we go. So I hope you give it a try. It is not too difficult to make snap tabs once you get used to the vinyl. It just takes a little bit of practice. All right, thank you very much for watching. Subscribe and have a wonderful day. Thumbs up.